Good morning, folks. So for this lesson, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to start our very first build. So for this, we're going to build a lever. A first, second, and third class lever is what we're going to construct. And here are the materials you're going to need. So I have right here, very important for the type of lever I'm going to build, cardboard. You can get away with not using cardboard if you don't have any hanging around, but hopefully you should have some from your Amazon orders. If not, I'll show you a different way. You can do it without cardboard, but cardboard really will help a lot with this. You're also going to need your rulers, 2 rulers with holes that I asked you guys to purchase. You're going to need some sort of adhesive, so that's tape or glue. I'm going to use some hot glue. We'll see how that goes. I might switch it to tape. I'm running this for the first time, so we'll see how it works out for me. I might have to audible. So tape or glue, some sort of adhesive. You're also going to need your quarters and something to put through these rulers with holes. These holes right here are what we're going to use in order to enable us to build a first class lever. So you're going to need a pen that fits through here or a chopstick. I find a straw works pretty well. So you can get that at a local store, so straws. Or pen. Or chopstick. And that's really it. That should do the trick. Oh, and also some sort of cutting tool. So scissors or a box cutter. I'm going to utilize both here, but you can use either one. So this is what you're going to need in order to complete this project. Now I'm going to get started. What I want to do is create with the cardboard a base for my lever so that my rulers can go in there. Well, actually my straw is going to go into this base and my rulers are going to float between them. So I'm going to create 2 supports, one on each side, that the straw goes through. Kind of like, it's going to look something like this. I'll have, these kind of like triangular bases. I'll have 2 of them. And then I'll have my straw that goes through. And my rulers will live between here. This will be my first class lever setup. And then I'll secure my quarters on both ends and mess around with this. So I'm essentially just building a teeter-totter. Alright, so what I want to do first is cut out the triangles for this. So I'm going to measure them off. I want to make them about, 4 inches tall, I'd say, 3 inches on the bottom. So I'll measure that out with my ruler. Now yours doesn't have to be this exact size, but hey, if it works for me at this size, it should work for you too. Oops, stabilize my ruler. And I'll try to get this close to even. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not super important that it's perfect. What is important is that these triangles match each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, cut it out, and then use it to trace my other one. See how scissors work out here? Works pretty well. So that's good. I think, in my opinion, they actually work better than the box cutter here. I made some of these triangles earlier, and I would say the box cutter didn't work as well as I would have hoped. Maybe the knife's just not that sharp. So I've cut one out, and then I'll use it to trace out another one. And again, it doesn't matter if it's perfect, it just has to be close. Okay, now let's check how close my triangles are. pretty good. Not bad. I want to make sure these are pretty close. I also prepared 2 other triangles earlier because I'm going to need 4 total. And these are pretty good. A little bit off, but should be good enough. So I have 4 of these. And now what I want to do is I want to build, my intention is to make them look something like this when they're assembled. So I'm going to need something at the bottom that slides in here. I prepped one earlier, so I'll show you what that looks like. It goes in here like that. So I'm going to make kind of like a little pyramid. I don't really need to create something over here or over here. Not really necessary. Not going to waste my time. So I need to make something like this. This is about an inch. This piece is about an inch by whatever this distance is. So I'm going to go on back to my cardboard. To create that piece, I'm going to first trace out one of these sides here because I want it to match with these triangles. Keep my triangles together. And then I want it to make this about an inch wide. So I'm going to measure off an inch. You don't really need to measure, but you do want them to be the same. So I want to make sure these 2 pieces are similar. So you can measure both, like I did, or you can cut one out and trace them. You do want it to be about an inch. So now that I've traced that out, I can go ahead and cut it, and then I'll be done cutting out all my cardboard. Okay, I'm done with all my pieces because I already prepped one of these earlier. I am going to touch it up a little because it looks to be a little bit off. It's got these little shreds on the side, so I want to get rid of that and make it nice. Alright, now that I have my pieces, I can begin assembling. So it's going to look something like this. I want this to kind of go in the middle here. I want it to look something like that. So I'm going to utilize glue. You can utilize tape. You can utilize Elmer's glue. I have some hot glue. I have a hot glue gun here that I'm going to put into use. It looks like I burned off a lot of the glue. I might not have enough. We'll see how this goes. I might have to switch the tape if I don't have enough glue. So now I'm letting this heat up, and the plan is to just glue this in. This doesn't look like it's going to work. All right, we're going to audible. And see if this heats up. I'm going to give it one chance. Nope, that's not going to work for me. Okay, going to switch it up and use tape. So, think about how I want to do this. Okay. Put a piece along the bottom like so. Put this on the inside. Another one here. Then I'll tape it up top. I'll see how that looks, and I'll add more tape if needed. I was really hoping to glue this together. Sometimes things don't work out exactly the way you want them to. But that actually looks pretty good. I think it'll hold nicely. I'll give it another layer all around just to make sure it's secure. And I'll do one across the bottom. Rip that so I can fold it over. Not bad. I'm actually pretty happy with how that turned out. I know it doesn't look amazing, but it feels pretty sturdy. Okay, so I'm going to make another one, just like that one. Hopefully it works out just as well. Make sure they match. Yeah, I guess it's not super important that they match exactly. I just want to make sure the height's the same. That's the most important part. That they're just as tall as each other. Okay, now that I have these two structures, I can go ahead and poke some holes so that I can put a straw between the two. Because my plan is, I'm going to put the straw through there, and then I'll put my, my ruler right in the middle, and I'll have a first-class lever that I can experiment with. Okay, to poke these holes, you can use a number of things. I think I'm just going to try using my scissors, see how it works. I'll use a sample piece to see what it looks like if I stab this with scissors. Actually works pretty well when I try to stab that. Just be careful if you're doing this at home that you don't injure yourself with the scissors. Might have been smart for me to do this before I assembled it, but well, I don't always do things the smart way. But my goal here is to have a hole at the top of these two structures where I can poke my straw through. Maybe a pen would actually work better. You know what? I'm going to have to take this tape off, I think, because the tape is what's making it so hard for me to poke through. I'm going to peel it back a little bit on both sides. I can always replace it if needed. Yeah, I think I'll need to replace it. And let's try again. There we go. I'll make sure it's big enough for the straw, which I already unpacked and is, of course, transparent. Either way. Okay. I'm going to open it up more than that. Good. That'll be okay. I can repair that with some tape. Most important thing is that the straw fits through and can turn. It's important that it can turn in here. Success. I have a structure. I have a straw that fits through that structure. Perfect. Excellent. Now, other side. Let's remove that tape that got in our way before. And let's try to save it. Second time is definitely way easier for me because I, made the mistake. Hopefully you guys haven't started building yet and you watched my mistake and can learn from it a bit before you go ahead and make the same mistake that I did. And you see here I kind of poked through the other side and opened this up. That's okay. I'm just going to put tape around there anyway, and then I'll poke a new hole around the tape, and I should be just fine. So I put the tape back on both sides, now that I've made both holes. Take my pen, poke through both sides. Make sure the straw fits. It's a little tight, so I'm just going to open this up a little more by using my pen, just to make this a little bit bigger. So my straw fits clean, and it does. Okay, now that I have my structure, I can put the straw through both sides. Look at that. That's a beautiful thing. And nice thing I can do, if I have a slight height disparity, I can always just take a piece of cardboard, slide underneath the side that's shorter, and raise it up a bit. Or paper works as well, anything to bridge that height gap. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rulers. I should have two. This one won't lift up for some reason. There we go. Should have two. And I'm going to take them both, and I'm going to slide them on to the straw here. And the reason I want two as opposed to just one is because you see how it's kind of unbalanced? With two, I'll be able to combine them together, and it should be pretty stable. So I can take both, and on each end, I can put a piece of tape to attach them together. And now I'm going to tilt this a little bit more so you can see it here. I'm going to go away from this camera a bit and open up the main one so you guys should be able to see everything I'm doing. Okay, good. So now I'm going to take this and see how these two are kind of unstable apart. Together they'll be much more stable. So I'm going to fuse them on both ends with a piece of tape. And I have my first class lever. Now, how can I actually test things with this? I take my quarters and I use them as my masses. And what I do is I can take, let's say, I take 3/4. I can attach them on one end. This straw is right in the middle, right? So I have a first class lever with mechanical advantage if I put something on both ends of 1 to 1. But if I take 3/4 and put them on either end, 3/4 on one end, 3/4 on the other end, it should stay balanced. Take 3/4 and I put them at the 3-inch mark here. This should, I'm going to need more tape. This should go down, and it does, because there's a weight on that side. Now, just to show, if I want to take just 2/4 and balance out those 3, I'm going to need to have some mechanical advantage. Okay, this was on the 3-inch line, so that's 3 inches away from the center. If I have 2 quarters and I want to balance them on the other side, I need to be a little bit further from center. So this is 3 inches, 3 quarters, so that's 9-inch quarters away. I'm going to use quarters as a unit. 9-inch quarters away. I need to replicate 9-inch quarters on the other side with 2 coins. So I need to have it 4.5 inches away. Okay, so that's going to be about right here from the 6-inch line to the 10.5-inch line, and it should balance because I'll have mechanical advantage. I'll require less force on one side. Let's see if that works. All right, looks like it does. I add a little weight to this side, it goes down. I add a little weight to this side, it goes down, but it's fairly balanced, even though I have 3 quarters on one end and 2 quarters on the other because of mechanical advantage. So if I want to turn this into a 2nd or 3rd class lever, I'm going to need to change where my fulcrum is, because right now my fulcrum's in the middle. I want to put my fulcrum at the ends. This ruler has a hole. It's on this end. These 2 rulers, I did them back to back, so I'm going to need to take them apart. Let me take the straw out. When you're assembling your ruler, don't make the same mistake. Align the 2 holes here. You see I didn't align them. There's only the hole on the blue ruler here, and the hole on the purple ruler is on the other end. So here's the mistake I made. I have one hole on one end and the other hole on the other end, but I really want them to be in line because these rulers only have a hole on one end. So I'll take this apart, flip it, and just fix that real quick. And make sure that the hole is exposed when I tape this together, and this time it is. The other side, doesn't matter where I put the tape. So now if I want to turn this into a 2nd class lever or a 3rd class lever, I will simply put the straw through the end of the ruler, like so. And then I can put some quarters in the middle if I want to make a 2nd class lever, and some quarters on the end to make a 3rd class lever. So if I wanted to make a 2nd class lever, I would take my quarters, put them in the middle, somewhere along the middle. And unfortunately I can't use quarters to counteract. I just have to use my hand, but I can test different placements of the quarters and see how that changes the effort force that's required to do this. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope this is helpful for you guys to construct your own levers. So you should be able to use this to do all the tests that you need for today's class. That's all.